what? He's British. He's not Australian. Can we get a little more British?
That's what I was doing. That's literally what I was doing. Okay. Pets. They're cute. They're cuddly. They pick you up when you're feeling. I can't do this. I can't do this. Pets. They're cute. They're cuddly. They pick you up when you're feeling down, and they're really good at basketball. That's a beautiful film. My favorite pet movie star is Princess Jasmine's pet tiger, Raja.
Oh, goodbye.
Come on! Look at that! Who wouldn't want a goddamn tiger? Unfortunately, owning a pet tiger is not as glamorous as Princess Jasmine makes it out to be. If you don't believe me, just tune into Animal Planet's thrilling docudrama, Fatal Attractions, which recounts pets gone wild.
And as he walked towards Jupiter,
But what's even scarier than the acting in the show's low-budget reenactments is the fact that these scenarios are much more common than we would like to think. Take, for example, tigers. Of the approximate 5,000 captive tigers kept in the U.S., a majority of those are kept by private owners. Not only that, but 164 human injuries and 21 human deaths have occurred from big cat pets alone, and that's just from 1990 to 2012. That's a higher killing rate than Darth Vader's entire Imperial squadron! Statistics like these are easy to dismiss, just like the horror stories that come with them when owning these animals goes wrong.
The release of 56 wild animals was the last desperate act of their owner. Just out of prison, Terry Thompson deliberately cut cages open before committing suicide with a gun. Some of the animals attacked his body. When it was over, 49 animals have been killed, including 18 Bengal tigers. Ohio has more incidents with exotic animals than any other state. Its laws are among the most lenient in the country.
Yes, these frightening examples are extreme, but what's even more frightening is that owning exotic animals is becoming increasingly normalized. And we get it. Owning an exotic animal has a certain allure to it. It represents status, wealth, individuality, and just think of all the celebrities that casually endorse this practice. Justin Bieber, Michael Jackson, Britney Spears. And while a python may seem dangerously sexy when a 20-something-year-old pop star is shimmying with one on stage, when it escapes from your house, crawls into your neighbor's plumbing, and bites him in the penis, not so much! Perhaps a better status symbol would be a Juicy Couture sweatsuit, or an overly watered tropical garden, or Ugg boots. Despite the danger, the intrigue surrounding exotic animals is still present. Michelle Burke, a woman interviewed for a 2014 National Geographic article exploring exotic pet ownership, is one of the many people drawn to this status symbol. Burke is a kinkajou owner. Quick aside, what the hell is a kinkajou? Quick rule of thumb, if you can't spell it, you probably shouldn't be keeping it in your house. Regardless, Burke explains why she wanted to own an exotic animal. We didn't get a dog because there's nothing cool or outstanding about owning a dog. How about the endless love and affection a dog gives you, Michelle? I think that's cool. She continued, a kinkajou, now that seems untouchable. And who doesn't want the untouchable? They say don't touch it, so you want to touch it. What Burke said is true. They say don't touch it, but what exactly are the consequences when you do? Turns out, not much. An employee of California's State Department of Fish and Wildlife, Andrew Hugan, said he could not recall any prosecution for people owning exotic pets illegally. In most cases, in most states, the protocol is to remove the animals in question and revoke the permits, if any, that the owners carry. But even though exotic animals can be obtained and owned legally, this is hardly more responsible or realistic as owning one illegally. Let's take a look at what this qualified expert has to say about obtaining your next furry friend, a pet tiger. the legal way.
You've had dogs, you've had cats, but maybe it's time to get a pet that's a little bit more exotic and a lot more awesome. It's time to own a pet tiger. Oh, it sounds illegal, Joe. Not necessarily. It sounds badass.
Seems legit. You can also check out this YouTuber's other videos like How to Be a Bounty Hunter and How to Be Batman, both useful in survival if Tigger decides to turn on you. But really, there are certain requirements imposed by state legislatures in place for legally keeping an exotic animal. In the more extensive processes, you have to prove that you have enough land to cater to this animal, you can provide it with the food, and proper medical attention that it needs, things of that nature. That all seems reasonable, but that's the best case scenario. Some states have laws that are so lenient that practically anybody can own an exotic animal. Wisconsin, for example, has only 3 requirements to obtain a permit to legally own an exotic animal: a certificate of veterinary inspection, an official individual ID, and an import permit number for the animal in question. And the requirements become even looser. Ohio has become the Wild West of the exotic pet trade. Ohio State Code regarding animal ownership states that, unless explicitly prohibited, any person desiring to engage in the business of raising and selling game birds, game quadrupeds, reptiles, amphibians, or fur-bearing animals shall submit an application to the Division of Wildlife for a license to do so. Now, how is it that it's easier for a tamarin monkey from the Amazon to get a license than it is for a Mexican? I call foul, sir! And we get it, right? Ohio's boring, and we're sorry about that. But aren't there other ways to live out your live-action Lion King fantasy? Regardless, whether or not you obtain an exotic animal legally or illegally, the same risks and consequences can still occur for both the animals and the owners. One word: herpes! According to the animal advocacy organization Born for USA, exotic animals can carry diseases such as herpes B, monkeypox, salmonellosis, all of which are communicable to humans. Ah, what a cute monkey. Turns out there's an 80 to 90% chance that she carries herpes B, and being bitten, scratched, or even spit on could result in you contracting the disease and spreading it, threatening overall public health and safety. Alternatively, you could get monkeypox, which is like chickenpox but with bigger boils, and not on your 3-year-old toddler. Exotic animals are, of course, most notorious for the freak accidents that they incite that end up on the news for 5 minutes. But the numbers of these attacks are much more common than their coverage lets on. From 1990 to 2011, over 1,600 reported incidents involving exotic animal attacks have been documented. With those numbers, you're more likely to be attacked by an exotic animal that someone's keeping as a pet than by a shark. Since 1959, there have only been 603 shark attacks, while in the 21 years between 1990 and 2011, there were over 1,600 attacks on humans by their exotic pets. That's right, Jaws probably won't kill you, but your neighbor's pet chimp might. The most overlooked consequence is the inherent danger of the exotic pet trade when the animals are being smuggled. Illegal smugglers relieve large sums from those in the U.S. willing to obtain their next pet this way, meaning that the transport of these animals is often cruel and can even result in the animal's death. Animals are reportedly found being smuggled in basketballs, water bottles, and most disturbingly, gross underwear. After being smuggled in, the animals are available virtually everywhere, from Craigslist to actual pet stores.
I'm the kennel manager. Most of the ones that have fur are my responsibility.
That's all right. Get in. In.
Oh, every day is a challenge.
There are over 1,000 sites on the internet where you can purchase tigers. I don't know about you, but I don't want to live in a world where abusing exotic animals is almost as easy as relieving some stress after a long day of work. And even when the exotic animal reaches their new owner's homes, it is unlikely that the owner has the sufficient knowledge or resources to take care of them. According to Born for USA, the average person cannot provide the special care, housing, diet, and maintenance these wild animals require. As a result, wild animal owners often attempt to change the nature of the animal rather than the nature of the care provided. Tactics used include confinement in small barren enclosures, chaining or beating into submission, or painfully removing the animal's claws or teeth. And what happens when an exotic pet owner can't care for his animals anymore, or simply tires of it? Most of the time, these animals are sent to zoos or sanctuaries. In that case, we can just raise these cute exotic animals and send them all away to a nice safe place once they maim Aunt Marge, right? Unfortunately, that's not always the case.
This is a horse monitor and his name's Pancake.
Mark Harris believes a lizard should be for life. His sanctuary for exotic animals is struggling to cope with a surge in the number of pets brought in because their owners can't care for them.
Over the last 6 weeks, we've had definitely 25 animals brought in that we've actually kept here. But we've turned away easy 20. We're turning away an average of 10 turtles easy a week.
While there are perfectly fine sanctuaries, other sanctuaries may not have the animals' best interests in mind. Many sanctuaries breed exotic animals, such as tigers, to help conservation. According to a National Geographic article regarding that topic, though, this argument is dismissed by many conservationists because privately held tigers are too crossbred and inbred to be useful in maintaining genetically diverse subspecies. In addition, not all zoos and sanctuaries are as high quality as, say, the San Diego Zoo. It takes around $17 million a month to run the San Diego Zoo. Not all zoos or sanctuaries have this kind of money, and it's unfair to assume that they have the resources to provide for Tigger when you get tired of taking care of him. So maybe it's better not to purchase Tigger at all, no matter how cute he may be as a cub. To prevent these types of tragedies, regulation must be provided at the federal level and enforced more vigorously at the state and local levels. Regulation, however, is hard to carry out when the term exotic animal is so vague. I mean, are we talking about a salmon from Canada or an extremely rare and volatile Siberian tiger? So a more definitive list must be made as to what constitutes an exotic pet and what potential danger a species carries must be considered. Once a clear definition of what an exotic pet is has been established, then stricter standardized federal regulation of private ownership of exotic animals must be implemented. Currently, only 3 federal laws regulate exotic animals: the Endangered Species Act, the Public Health Service Act, and the Lacey Act. But these laws, quote, primarily regulate the importation of exotic animals into the United States and not private possession. In fact, the Endangered Species Act even includes a loophole that allows for interbred species of tigers to be legally bred and possessed. And while federal regulation is necessary to stop this practice to ensure the safety of both the public and the animals themselves, regardless of the law, exotic animal ownership is not something that should be condoned or glamorized. But if you find yourself in a loveless life in, say, I don't know, let's make up a place, like Ohio, might I suggest a domesticated house pet? Because contrary to what Michelle Burke thinks, they are untouchable. Follow me. Shh. You're there. I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm your friend, and they told me you were dangerous.
Those damn cats are racist. They always go after the Mexicans. If she didn't have so much goddamn curly hair, she could be with us today. I told her to cut it. I told her those cats were sadists. They are the spawn of the devil and they need Jesus. I'm Barbara. My name is my name is Barbara OQ and not to use the Lord's name in vain, but she wasn't.
Well, emotionally, not sure exactly where I was that day, but physically I was right outside her window and I did witness the entire thing unfold. I had my binoculars with me.
Pets, they're
Action!
cute. They're coming! Oh man.